polio vaccine spread SV40. That's other cancer viruses around the world, he tells you. And the fact is that the bottom line, to answer your question, is with that information, you will be empowered to get out. In 48 states, you can demand both religious and spiritual exemptions. 13 states have philosophical exemptions, personal, just your choice. From a personal standpoint, you can exempt out. And what we urge people to do is commit to memory what we exactly tell you to say to these people who tell you that you must get vaccinated. In fact, they themselves don't know. They've been brainwashed virtually. They have no idea that you have a religious exemption. In fact, we tell the school administrators, I'm sorry, in 48 states, and this being one, for example, California, we are not required by law to get these vaccines. In fact, we have a religious exemption. We're still living in America. We supposedly have separation of church and state. We have civil rights. We can make these choices.
Right.
You know, we have separation of church and state. Maybe we should have separation of medicine and state as well, don't you think? And the bottom line is that you can say, in your desk drawer, Miss School Administrator or Mr. School Administrator, you have a waiver form that you don't want to tell me about because you get a stipend, a government payoff, so long as you deliver 90% or more of the children into the vaccine program, then you get a payoff. Now, don't you? And you don't want to tell me that you've got that form. And if you don't have that form in your desk drawer that I want to sign right now, you're negligent. You better go to your public health department and get those forms.
You know, unfortunately, that's true with a lot of the public school system and some of the incentives that they have to do certain things, and I know that's very true.
Yep.
We're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk more about your research into this very disturbing topic. The book is Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola. Now, if you want to get a copy of this directly from Dr. Horowitz's publishing company, Tetrahedron, you can do so by calling toll-free. The number is 1-888-50-50-VIRUS or 1-888-508-4787. Dr. Horowitz will give out his URL for his website, and we'll give out this number again at the end of the hour. Give us a call if you have a comment. We have calls on hold. We'll be right with you next, too, coming back from the break. I'm Michael Corbin. You're listening to the Paranet Continuum. We'll be right back. We're here tonight is 1-800-836-2009, 1-800-836-2009. I have the pleasure of speaking tonight with Dr. Leonard Horowitz, who is the author of Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola, Nature, Accident, or Intentional. And if you've been listening to the program tonight, there's been some very disturbing information imparted here. But, you know, this stuff cannot be denied. And we've covered this topic many times on the program, the idea that mind control and that type of thing has all been a highly crafted, highly engineered situation from back in the 40s, even possibly sooner than that. And we've heard Dr. Horowitz talk about his research, which coincides with a lot of that. So, I mean, now we're dealing with how we can basically counteract it. And let's take a call now. We've got Tom calling in. Good evening, Tom. You're on with my guest, Dr. Horowitz.
Yeah, hello, Mike and Dr. Horowitz. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a real quick tidbit, and then I have a personal thing to relate, and I'll be quick. But I saw a piece by the Associated Press that it's possible that Bill Clinton and the state of Arkansas are going to be sued by some AIDS and hepatitis patients in Canada. When Clinton was governor of Arkansas, he had a friend that ran a blood company.
Yes.
And they went into the state prisons and took blood from the inmates.
Yes.
And sent that up to Canada. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's action suits developing around all of this topic these days.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Was it 1978 that the people were encouraged to get the swine flu shots?
75.
Oh, okay.
That was a horrendous swine flu vaccine fiasco.
Okay. But,
and they continued. I mean, it's still continuing to this very day.
Right. But my wife and I lived in Durango in 1978, and we got flu shots.
Yep.
And shortly after, my son was conceived.
Yep.
And at 3 months of age, he was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia.
That's very, very common. I'm hearing that all over the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just thought I'd relate that on. It's just an interesting program. It's scarier than hell.
It
scares me. Thank you.
It's horrifying. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tom, for your call. Appreciate it. Now, let me ask you this. Bringing up the name Clinton, on the program leads one to wonder, about all these different things that he's involved in. I'm curious, Dr. Horowitz, if you have any idea if there are a trail of bodies associated with this particular fiasco, like there are with Clinton Gate and, the Kennedy assassination, things like that. Is this research that you've done, what kind of fire has it drawn for you? I mean, I know you mentioned earlier that you've been blackballed or blacklisted. What other types of things? Have you been threatened, or has anyone tried to stop you from putting this information out?
Actually, only mildly threatened, and in terms of the fact of the matter is that the media is so well controlled that they could literally allow a half a dozen people like myself out, and it still wouldn't have a major impact on the massive mind, the sheeple, that they can lead to slaughter through the mass media. And basically, the best thing that they've been able to do is ignore me, and they've tried to ignore me. I blew them out. First of all, I've debated Peter Duesberg on national radio. I blew him out. Basically, I've debated two top CDC vaccine officials, one FDA vaccine official in Chicago about a year and a half ago. I blew them out. The best thing that they could do is try to avoid any discussion of my work, and that's, in fact, one of the most incriminating facts.
I think you're right.
See, I presented this, Michael. I presented this thesis at the 11th International Conference on AIDS in Vancouver on July 10th, 1996, where I had the privilege of becoming the first investigator in the history of the esteemed International AIDS Conference to defend a scientific paper saying that these types of viruses, HIV and all the simian immunodeficiency relatives, are undoubtedly laboratory creations. And we collected a tremendous amount of press in Canada. We got no press at all in the United States. And the fact that we've submitted papers to Nature and Lancet, and that there's complete blackout of this, is outrageous. It's actually as outrageous as when you think about it today. I guarantee you that about 25 to 30% of the people listening tonight have themselves or their friends and family suffering with this upper respiratory infection that won't quit.
Yes, I have it myself.
And now think about this. The CDC will tell you a year in advance already what new swine flu you can expect coming from Asia.
Right, you got to get down there and get that shot.
That's right, and they got the vaccine all prepared already. And if that's not the case, if that's not bad enough, they've got you telling you if the smallest, slightest outbreak of a few dozen cases of flu anywhere in the United States happens, they'll tell you right away on the mainstream media. But now you've got 25 to 30% of the United States public suffering with this bizarre upper respiratory infection that my colleagues and I have diagnosed as a fungal infection, primarily because you have low body temperature. If it was high body temperature, it would be a viral or a bacteria. Meanwhile, all the docs are out there are prescribing antibiotics, which do virtually no good to this thing.
Right.
And so this thing is coming back, and it's coming back, and it's low grade, low body temperature, little chronic fatigue. It doesn't keep you out of work, but it gets a little bit better. You get a little stress, comes back again. See, now they're not telling you one thing about this. Now, if that's not incriminating, I don't know what is it, itself. See, there's so much that points to cover-up.
This respiratory thing you're talking about is indeed different, because I've had it 5 weeks.
That's right.
I get better, and then all of a sudden it seems like it recurs.
Yeah, if you want to get rid of it, here's what you've got to do. You've got to, number one, do a detoxification program using cayenne pepper in what was used to be called the master cleanser. It's like you make a fresh squeezed lemon juice lemonade with grade B maple syrup in a gallon container, and then you spoil it by throwing in the hottest cayenne pepper that you can find. Do a fast on that for at least 3, ideally 4, 5, or 6 days. And that cayenne pepper, you keep downing it, it raises your body temperature, and it deacidifies the body. See, those funguses hate an alkaline body. They love and they grow just like cancer cells grow, and just like bacteria and viruses grow in an acidified state. And our bodies become acidified. That is the terrain in which the bacteria or the infectious agents grow. It becomes acidic because of the lifestyle risks, including caffeine, nicotine, sugar, alcohol, stress, and allopathic medications, that is drugs. And that turns our body chemistry acidic.
There you go.
And that's what causes the growth of these microorganisms. So if you want to change that, the cayenne pepper is the highest pH type of substance that you can down. And that you also raises your body temperature. So you're going to, basically whack out these funguses by doing that. It takes about a week to get rid of this thing. But once you start on this path, that you're going to get rid of it.
That sounds like good advice. Let's take another break. When we come back, I want to ask you, are we dealing with myth as far as how AIDS is transmitted, or is it more insidious than we are told?
Oh, tremendous myth. Wait till we get back.
Okay. 1-800-836-2009, 1-800-836-2009. My guest is Dr. Leonard Horowitz. The book is Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola. This subject just doesn't quit. There's more, much more, 600 pages more. And you have to get this book to really get into the meat of this whole topic. It's an incredible one, too. Disturbing, but incredible. And, of course, as he's mentioned, there is hope, or there is light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, boy.